Leeway looked at Fang and told him that, because he hadn't finished university and had no qualifications, he was going to give him a position as a packaging and operations supervisor. The assistant, hearing that, laughed, trying his best to hide it. Fang's eyes glared with fury as he told Leeway that he must be crazy and that there was no way he was going to accept such a low position. He added that he was the vice president and that no one could just demote him to such a role. Leeway stood and walked toward him, looking him directly in the eyes. He told him that he had just given him the position and, like he had said before, if he didn't like it, he could leave Eastgate Group and someone more deserving would occupy the role. Fang stood there, fists clenched, and warned him that he was going to regret it and that he would tell his father about it. Leeway smirked and told him there was no need for that because he had just retired his father and he was no longer part of Eastgate Group either. Fang stood there, his head spinning, unable to believe what he had just heard. He could not believe that Leeway, the man standing before him, was actually his boss, something he had never wanted to happen. Moving closer to Leeway, he looked him in the eyes and said he was going to make him regret this. He claimed he finally thought he was the boss, that he could control everything, but little did he know that someone far above him was coming for him. He added that if he had managed to make his father give up his position, he could do the same to Leeway. Leeway, hearing that, immediately knew who he was talking about. It was the man in the mask. He wondered if Fang also knew him and if he had ever seen him. Moving closer, he asked Fang exactly who this person was and what connection he had to Eastgate Group. Fang laughed and asked him if he was scared, pointing out that from the look of things, he clearly was. He added that this person was someone powerful, whom Leeway would never know, and that all the employees at Eastgate Group bowed to him, recognizing him as their real president. Leeway chuckled and told him that he was not afraid of anyone and that no one would hide from him, just as they had thought they were untouchable. He reminded Fang that he had gotten to them and even reduced him to a mere packaging supervisor. With that, he looked at his assistant and said it was time for them to go for an inspection. The assistant immediately stood, but before following Leeway out, he paused in front of Fang, who stood there defeated. He told Fang that now he had a lower position than his and that he better get back to packaging. Laughing a little, he walked out, leaving Fang standing there, his eyes red with anger, silently promising that he would make Leeway pay dearly. Fang stormed toward the marketing department and entered the marketing manager's office, closing the door behind him and locking it. He walked over to her desk, grabbing her from the chair and holding her close by the waist. Fang looked at Suri as he held her close to him. She tried to pull away, telling him that they were in the office and he shouldn't be doing that. Fang, however, reminded her that they had always had office PDA and asked why she was resisting now. Suri looked at him and stated that he was no longer the boss, that Leeway was now in charge, and that he seemed like a ruthless person who was not afraid to fire. She released herself from his grip and stood there, staring at him. Fang told her that she was acting strangely, and that since Leeway had taken over, she had been distant with him. He tried to touch her again, but she moved back, firmly telling him to behave. She asked him what position Leeway had given him, but Fang remained silent, unwilling to reveal it. Suri noted that his hesitation clearly meant Leeway had given him a lower position. Fang moved forward and told her that he would reclaim his position and become the president of Eastgate Group. He reminded her that he had been the one supposed to take over when his father retired, and that this was still his right. Suri laughed lightly and asked how he planned to do that. She added that, from the look of things, Leeway was the true heir and seemed determined to stay. Fang looked at her and told her to trust him, assuring her that he would take over, and he added that he still wanted to marry her. Suri chuckled and told him that she didn't think she would marry him anymore. Fang's eyes filled with hurt as he asked why, reminding her that only a month ago they had been planning their engagement. Suri sat back down, looking at him, and explained that her family wouldn't allow it. She added that the idea of them marrying had only existed because he was going to take over East Gate Group, and now that it had happened, there was no way she would marry him. Fang stood there, defeated, his heart sinking as he looked at her. He insisted that she couldn't do this to him, and that she should trust him, that he could still reclaim East Gate Group. Suri, however, stood her ground, telling him that it wouldn't happen, and that her focus had shifted to someone else. Fang asked if she was now planning to go after Leeway, because he had taken over the company, calling her cruel for doing so, and tossing him aside like trash. Suri's voice was firm as she explained that this was how the world worked, that only powerful men could get women of the highest caliber. She added that she would not compromise her family's image for someone who had no value, and that she had to go for someone who did. Fang laughed slightly and told her that she would never be able to get Leeway, that no woman had ever been able to entice him to fall in love, and that he was cold-hearted, even having rejected Yan, who was desired by most men. Suri stood and looked at Fang, telling him that she was not Yan, that Yan had been foolish and desperate, and that she would not make the same mistakes. Fang, almost to the point of tears, told her that she would regret letting him go and that she would eventually come crawling back after he took over East Gate Group. He added that she would never be able to win Leeway's heart, that he was not easily manipulated by women, and that no trick she thought she had would ever work on him because he knew him too well. Suri walked over to the door and told him to leave, reminding him that it was inappropriate to discuss such matters during working hours. Fang moved toward the door, glaring at her, and warned that she would regret this and that he would never forgive her. With that, he walked out. Suri then spotted Leeway, who had just walked in for the inspection. A huge smile spread across her face as she walked toward him to welcome him. Meanwhile, Amara sat in class, her mind running wild at the thought that she might be pregnant. She couldn't focus, her thoughts swirling with worry about the consequences. She questioned whether it had been a mistake, whether she should have waited until marriage. The idea of being pregnant and potentially having to take a break from school haunted her, especially since she was not married. She pulled out her cell phone and typed a message to Leeway, telling him that she thought she might be pregnant. She paused before sending it, then deleted the message, uncertainty and fear gripping her. The sound of the lecture ending startled her, and she immediately stood. As she was about to walk out, the professor stopped her, asking if she was okay, noting that she seemed upset. Amara nodded, assuring him that she was fine. He asked again if she was sure, and she confirmed that she was. The professor handed her a pamphlet and explained that he had a son who was one of the best surgical oncologists in the country, and that every year he held a boot camp for young medical students from different universities. He wanted her to attend. The boot camp would be in Beijing, he added, emphasizing that it would be an excellent opportunity to learn from the best and that his son might even take her under his wing as a mentor. Amara looked at the pamphlet and asked how long the boot camp lasted. The professor told her it would be 2 weeks, promising that she would learn a great deal. He assured her that his son was a good person and would guide her well. Amara placed the pamphlet in her bag and told him she would think about it, thanking him for presenting her with such an opportunity before walking out. As Amara made her way to the library, she spotted Master Shen and Momo standing together, talking. She tried to immediately change her route, not wanting Momo to know that she knew Master Shen. Before she could, Momo spotted her and called her over. She hesitated but quickly walked toward them, greeting both politely while keeping her eyes on Master Shen. Momo looked at Amara and told her that Master Shen was her deadbeat father who had abandoned her when she was young, and that now he kept stalking her and wouldn't leave her alone. Amara asked Momo why she would say such a thing. Momo explained that it was to make him aware that she hated him. Master Shen looked at Amara and said it was good to meet her and that he was glad that Momo had someone like her as her friend. Amara smiled, feeling awkward that they had to pretend they didn't know each other. Momo then told Amara that it was the death anniversary of her mother and that she needed to go pay her respects. She asked Amara to join her, saying she wouldn't feel safe with a man who had abandoned her for 10 years. Before Amara could respond, Master Shen told Momo that no strangers were allowed. Momo, her voice firm, insisted that Amara was not a stranger at all, and that if she wasn't going, she wouldn't go either. Master Shen looked at both of them and finally gave in, allowing Amara to come, but saying she wouldn't have to participate. Momo smiled and looked at Amara, silently pleading for her to come. Amara smiled in return and agreed, and together they got into Master Shen's car and drove off. Back at East Gate Group, Leeway stood in the marketing department observing the space. Suri stood beside him, explaining that it was the best performing department and that she had ensured the best candidates had been recruited. She added that if he had any questions, he could ask, and that she would provide any information he needed. Leeway did not respond immediately, continuing to survey the department. Finally, he glanced at her and instructed her to submit their performance report for the year. Suri nodded with a smile, promising she would do so. Leeway mentioned that he had reviewed her file and acknowledged that she was one of the best employees at East Gate Group, expressing hope that she would continue excelling. Suri nodded, smiling and thanking him. Before he could walk away, she stopped him, noting that she had heard he would be pulling late nights. She added that she and her department wanted to do the same to show support. Leeway nodded, telling her she could go ahead and do so before walking out. Suri stood there, watching him leave, a huge smile spreading across her face. Meanwhile, Master Shen's car pulled over at the cemetery for a memorial service. They all got out of the car, and Master Shen and Momo walked over to Momo's mother's grave, while Amara stood a bit farther away, giving them space. Amara remained by herself, her thoughts drifting to Leeway. She wondered how he was doing and whether things were going well at East Gate Group. Pulling out her cell phone, she sent him a text asking how his day was. There was no response. She thought about how he was usually quick to reply to her messages and concluded that the lack of a response meant he was truly busy. As she stood there lost in thought, a car pulled over nearby and a woman stepped out. She looked at Master Shen and Momo from a distance and murmured bitterly that Master Shen had the audacity to show up at her friend's grave, the very friend he had caused to be killed, and that he was a scumbag who deserved to burn in hell. Curious, Amara approached her and asked if she knew Master Shen and Momo. The woman turned to her and said that she knew Shen very well. She explained that she wished her friend had never met him, and that her friend had died because of him, killed by the rich people for whom he carried out dirty jobs for. She added that she had warned her friend to stay away from people like Shen, but her friend hadn't listened, and they had killed her in the end. Amara looked at the woman, confused, and said that she had thought Momo's mother died during childbirth. The woman firmly denied it, insisting that Shen knew exactly what had happened to her. She stepped closer to Amara to reveal more, but before she could, Master Shen appeared. He looked at the woman and demanded to know what she was doing there. Anger etched across her face. The woman said she was there to pay her respects to her friend, the friend Shen had killed. Master Shen's gaze hardened. He told her that the last time he had checked, she had been in a mental institution and asked when she had been released. Stepping closer, his voice firm, he added that if she was truly there to pay respects, she should do so instead of spouting nonsense. The woman glared at him before walking away, leaving Master Shen and Amara standing together. He turned to Amara and asked what the woman had said to her. Amara told him that the woman had only been talking about Momo's mother. Master Shen told her not to mind her, that she was crazy, and had been in a mental institution due to her mental health issues. Amara nodded, though deep down she felt uneasy. A gut feeling told her that there might be more to Momo's mother's death, that perhaps the woman had been right. Amara looked at Master Shen and asked if he was really done helping Leeway with his mission. Master Shen confirmed that he was. He added that she shouldn't try to convince him otherwise because this was between him and Leeway. Amara argued that she had to make it her business because she stayed with Leeway and knew he wasn't himself without Master Shen. She explained that since he had broken their connection, Leeway had not been the same and that he needed Master Shen. She acknowledged Leeway's mistakes, but insisted he shouldn't toss aside all they had shared over the years. Master Shen remained silent, unwilling to respond. Amara pleaded with him, asking him to at least give Leeway a call or arrange a meeting. Finally, Master Shen spoke, asking if she realized that she was the reason Leeway had become weak. He said that Leeway had nearly given up on East Gate Group because of her, and that all these events had begun when she entered his life. He reminded her that he had warned them about their relationship disrupting everything. And that's exactly what had happened, Amara countered, telling him that Leeway was trying his best to return to how he used to be and that he wasn't as weak as he seemed. Master Shen said that he knew Leeway better than anyone and that he had indeed become weak, and as long as she remained in his life, that weakness would not disappear. He warned her that Leeway would always choose her over everything else. Amara asked what she could do to prevent that, saying she didn't want to distract him and wanted him to achieve his mission and everything he desired. She added that she would do anything to ensure it happened. Master Shen moved closer and told her that the only way was for her to leave Leeway. He asked if she was willing to do that. Amara kept her eyes fixed on Master Shen, her mind trapped in a storm of thoughts. She could feel the weight of what he was asking pressing down on her chest. Master Shen chuckled softly, almost as if he could read the turmoil within her, telling her that, as he had anticipated, she wouldn't bring herself to do it. Amara's heart thudded painfully as she shook her head, insisting that she loved Leeway, that she could never be away from him. There had to be another way, one that didn't tear them apart. Master Shen's gaze remained steady, piercing yet calm, as he told her that there was another way, a way she hadn't yet considered. Amara moved closer, curiosity and fear warring in her chest, asking him what it was. His answer landed like a cold blade. She would have to break Leeway's heart. She recoiled instinctively, shaking her head violently, rejecting the idea outright. It was impossible, cruel, and unbearable. Master Shen's voice held an edge of certainty as he reminded her that she could fake it, could pretend to break his heart. Only by truly cutting him off, by making him believe he had lost something irreplaceable, could the old Leeway return. The Leeway who hungered for vengeance, the one who had once struck fear into anyone who dared cross him. As long as he remained bound to her, he would never return to that man. Heartbreak was the key to unlocking the strength he needed, the only way he could continue the mission without the weakness that now clung to him like a shadow. Amara stood silently, paralyzed by the thought, unable to form words, her chest tightening. Master Shen, seeing her hesitation, assured her she didn't have to do it if she truly couldn't, that his suggestion was just that, a path she could choose but was not compelled to take. She asked how she could possibly fake to break his heart, and he told her she already knew Leeway intimately, knew what would truly shake him, and only she could decide how to act. As Amara's mind whirled with possibilities, Momo appeared, her presence breaking the heavy silence. She asked what Amara had been discussing with her guardian, curiosity glinting in her eyes. From the way they had been speaking, it seemed they knew each other. Amara quickly brushed it off, saying they had only been talking about her mother and how good she had been. Momo's eyes narrowed thoughtfully before suggesting a plan. Amara could pretend to be sick, and Momo would take her to Ming's clinic as if she needed care. Amara tilted her head, confused, asking why Momo wanted to do such a thing. Momo's expression shifted to frustration and hurt as she explained that Ming had kissed her the last time they were together and then vanished completely, leaving her without a word. Master Shen's voice cut in sharply, telling Momo she should focus on her studies, not boys, warning that Ming was weak and timid and would not protect her if anything threatened her. Momo glared at him defiantly, reminding him that he had no authority over her life, that he was not her father. Master Shen, unwilling to argue further, instructed them to come to the car when they were done talking, glancing at Amara one last time to remind her not to forget what he had told her before walking away and entering the car. Momo turned to Amara, pressing her further, asking if she was certain she didn't know her guardian, noting how long their conversation had seemed, and asking what he had told her to do. Amara shrugged the question off, calling it nothing, and quickly shifted the topic, agreeing to go along with Momo's plan to see Ming and pretending to be sick. Momo's face lit up with excitement as she grabbed Amara's hand, and together they made their way toward the car. Meanwhile, in his office, Leeway sat completely absorbed in his laptop, his mind sharp and precise, focusing on the monumental task ahead. He had to unravel the mess his uncle had left, removing the people placed in positions of power and restoring order. Suri entered quietly, files clutched in her hands, hoping she was not disturbing him. Without looking up, Leeway told her to speak, and she explained she had come to provide the performance evaluation. He instructed her to place it on the desk. Suri hesitated, longing for even a glance from him, but his eyes remained fixed on his screen. Disappointed, she set the files down and lingered a moment, watching him. The assistant entered then, asking if he should get Leeway something to eat. Leeway shook his head, dismissing the thought, reminding him to focus on his assigned task. The assistant reminded him he had not eaten since morning, but Leeway's calm, commanding voice told him to return to work, warning that he would demote him to security if distracted. The assistant hurriedly nodded and left. Leeway finally raised his eyes to Suri, who was still standing, and asked firmly if she needed anything else. She shook her head, smiling softly, and turned to leave. He returned his attention to the screen. Moments later, the doors opened again and she entered, holding a snack box and a bottle of juice, moving slowly toward his desk, hoping he would accept it, knowing he had not eaten all morning.